And I think sometimes we just look within our own little box and think the buses have to get further out. And I think how many vans we have in coordinating the nonprofits together into a system so that we could better utilize it for more and more people outside the system, and maybe use those vans to bring them to the buses, and then the buses can bring them into town. And we can work on places like Salsha and Esther right now who don't have those opportunities, who feel trapped in their community and unable to use all the wonderful services that we have here. So I really look forward to being able to use that a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miles.
Well, the best social services is good education, of course. And we need our land grant, state-funded school system to lower property taxes and to secure funding forever. You need public transit so people can get to these services. I've worked on that for years and I'll continue. That helps so many people get a start. I'd like to expand preventative health care. The clinics in town should be available for people anytime to come in and get any kind of preventative health care, because it saves us way more money than it costs. That's why we invest in these things. That's why we have a good government, to save us more money than it costs. Public transportation is a good issue because other people who have been on the assembly say, oh, we looked at the numbers, it costs too much, we don't want to raise our property taxes. No, it saves so much more than it costs and serves so many more people. We can always afford it. We need the proper revenue from the state to fund revenue sharing. It's our land-based funding. We need to get that back so that we can lower local property taxes. Helping people keep their own home with increasing the homeowner exemption is a key step so we can have healthy families, so people can keep their own home. I like helping the public get involved in the public process. This last week I published 5 questions that I asked all the other candidates and a checkoff on how they replied. I put this in the top class little free newspaper run by Frontier High School to reach out to the public. And I'd like the 15-word question that I asked all the candidates by tonight so I can run tomorrow's ad. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sattley.
Well, let me get to the answer to the question by answering community well-being for $400 there. It was a question that had something to do if taxes were reduced, what would survive and what would get cut. First of all, schools is 2/3 of our mill rate, and that's the highest priority we have. Beyond that, roads, to the extent the borough has road powers, which is in the road service areas outside the city, of course, fire service areas, and getting rid of the IM program would put some more money back in people's pockets, and perhaps they could contribute to some of the agencies, nonprofit agencies in town that do the good works. There's an ordinance coming up to the Assembly to get rid of the IM program January 1st of '09, and I would hope, if I'm elected, to speed that up considerably, speed it up by 6 months or so. And beyond that, continue to lobby for that block grant from the state. There was an effort to cut it, to eliminate it. That needs to be continued and hopefully increased, because the commission only gets down halfway or 2/3 of the way on the list of good projects, and the Assembly sees that every year. So that needs to be increased. And beyond that, it's an effort of the citizens to support the agencies that do this good work, because again, the borough has these very limited health and social service powers, and they are exercising them to the limit of their ability. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Therrien.
Yes, there's several issues that I would work on when I'm reelected. First of all, I'm really glad to hear all the support for transit, because when I was on the Assembly years ago, I pushed for the North Pole route, and that was a hard sell on the Assembly way back then. So important. Yeah, did we? Yeah.
We co-sponsored.
The next thing that I feel is really important.
I have to remind her of that.
You've been very much against public transportation. That's not right.
Could I start? Okay. The other thing is that I've been thinking for a long time that we need to present to the public a ballot to change what our limited health and social service powers are in order to combat alcoholism and drug abuse. And there's a question right now on the Assembly as to whether or not we can do more than maybe help support the van that drives around. And I think that the public would support that. And then we could use some of the money to help support that, because I think that's the major major issue that every health and social service program provides for. Finally, I think definitely trying to coordinate our efforts with all of the boroughs throughout the state so that we would get more community block grants. If the other boroughs also got that, I think we'd all get more money. So I think coordinating our efforts. And finally, in the education realm, I think it's really important, and we can do this through the education budget, is making sure that the students that are struggling make it through school, have a goal, can get a job skill that they can have so that they can have a good, productive job when they get out of school. So thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Over to Mr. Hopkins.
Thank you.